Music Breakdown, the podcast where I break down my own music. Exciting. Today we're going to look at probably my biggest project ever. I worked over a year on it. leafyJazz, that got released last week. We have a lot to talk about it, and I also will show you some stuff that didn't make it in. And yeah, let's just have a listen to it first before we then go to the breakdown. As always, we go through the sections and stuff like that. I won't explain the chords because the chords are quite simplish and not too too weird. A little bit, but it's actually okay. Then we go through all of this stuff that happens in it and what I thought by making it, you know. And yeah, I have to say, yeah, I'm kinda out of ideas for podcasts at the moment, so that's my last response. I still hope you like it though. This just gives you a deep understanding, maybe, of my brain. And yeah, you see the standing slides. I kind of messed up. Okay, I kind of messed up. I now know how to do it differently. Time I did Okay, so that's the whole piece. Let's get into the breakdown. Alright, so we start off with a drum section at the beginning. Just a quick drum solo. Yeah, nothing too special. Then we have 7th chords here. We have through the whole thing 7th chords because it's a jazz thing. This is the original chord line that I used, so usually I would just repeat those 4 chords. But I change it a little bit later on. Also we have this thing here that goes from more interesting, like that goes from this chord. Just a small, it's just a small detail, and it just sounds overall pretty nice. And then we have, oops, not the main melody, but more like an upper higher note accomplishment, I would say. And that's the first bit. Sounds really nice, also with the note going down here. And yeah, that's just going up and then down again. Then we have it one more time, also with this. And then we have the main melody. And here you can see also the same chords that we use here. Whoops. We use this chord instead of this chord here, so with staccato to give it an extra rhythm feeling. Very nice, very nice. And then we have the main melody. I'm really proud of this main melody. It goes in and out of the scale. And here's something interesting, okay? So this bit is actually the main melody. It's just this bit, those two bars. And you might think that these two bars actually are there for the main melody as well, but this is just a little bit a covered up of the main melody because we putting just certain bits down an octave, as you can see here, and this just gives a different feel to it. It was really nice. I like it. It goes in and out of the scale. The whole thing was composed in C major, but then got transposed to a different key. I don't think it's... No, I think this one is actually in C major still. Was alright. Then we have the drums coming back. Quite a complex looking drum pattern. But it's actually quite simple ostinato, more or less. It just looks complicated. And now the chords go all over the place. So we have just variation in the same chords, where we put some notes up, where we put some notes down, stuff like that. So yeah. Then we have the next accomplishment of the higher notes. That would be this variation of this here and this variation. This one just goes up 3 steps and goes then down in 3 steps that are going up with a high note at the end. And this one is doing the same thing, just reverse with a low note at the end. And then we have this main high accomplishment of melodies, I would say, here stretched out in 2 bars. Right. Then we have the bass line coming in at this bar. A bass line it's just a bass line, a 2 bar ostinato. Also interesting to note is that some things are on the right ear and some things are on the left ear. So for example, the bass should be on the right ear. Let me see if that's right. Yes. And the piano is on the left ear. For me it's reversed because I have my headphones the wrong way around, but that doesn't matter. That's just made so for me. I made that back then, this decision to have those things on different ears, because I was composing it and I couldn't really hear the bass line. I wanted to hear the bass line better, and so I just put it on one ear more that you can hear the bass line better. So that's how this now sounds all. Alright, so something else to note, the instruments that we're using as the melody instruments are both ears equal, so there's nothing else in the mixing. Also drums are very loud, like really really put high, because the drums are quite quiet. With this modification that I have in and general, the melodies on the mix are louder than everything else. Makes sense. The bass is a little bit louder, and that's about it. Alright, so we have the first melody, one melody that will come up a little bit more often. This one right here. This one's the melody that I bring in a little bit more often, and I will point out when I bring it in and where. This one has really this people speaking kind of thing. You have more like the question here, and then an answer there. With the chords and everything, it quite sounds nice. Right. Anything else to note? Right, we have something else to note. Didn't realize, but if you listen to the drums right here, so we have a crash here to let the listener know that something will happen now here differently. We also do this for the next one here. Here's the crash for the next long melody line. So that's that. Now we have the next melody line up here in, let me see, I think it's a saxophone, if I remember correctly. Saxophone 1. Long melody line. No more crashes anywhere because it's a really long melody line. So let's see. We also have the question a little bit, and then here the answer to the question a bit. Then we have another question that just goes on and on, or maybe more like a conversation, I would say, kind of thing. So we're going up here and starting from the same thing, then going down. What also makes a very nice thing, like a recurring melody that you like. You hear that? And then, like, this is the main bit for this long melody section. Then we started off with this again, and then we're not bringing it back again to the end. So it's like the main bit of this short melody that we have there. Otherwise, this is going up, so we have this here going up as well. What's quite a nice touch. Then also it is going up here again, so we bring it up here again with the accomplishment. And then here we let the piano completely ring out because we're switching into a D flat major scale into an improvised and free beat jazz free version right here. But let's listen to this bit for now. Alright, so you have a transition note here with the C to transition from the original key into the D flat major scale. Yeah, there's nothing else really to talk about it here, but I guess that's alright. So this improvised section is not improvised in this score, not at all actually. It's more like a battle between two melodies. So we have this melody right here, what's actually the main melody, just in reverse. That's all it is. So it's just the main melody reversed. Then we have the main melody and the guitar playing, well, the main melody. To note something, I was making a melody in the D flat major scale because I was deciding that I want to do that. And the main melody, this one right here, without the staccato, because I don't think we have it here. No, we have no staccato here. Was actually composed. So the main melody was actually composed in D flat major scale, and then transformed into the C major scale. So this melody right here was this one right here. This one was actually composed in D flat major scale, not in C major. So this is more or less the origin of the melody. So the original melody sounded like this, what I came up with. Wait, let me take out the staccato real quick, just to make it a little bit more clear. Let's see. Alright. So now we have just this back and forth from the reverse version of the melody and this melody right here. As a transition, we have this quick passage here. It's literally one bar, and then we have a bass that actually plays this here really long augmented. So I think it's over 4 bars actually. You don't really notice it. You not really notice it if nobody's actually saying it out loud that the bass is playing this in augmented. And yeah, that just goes back and forth. It's a free beat, so that's the reason why we start in the middle of the beat with this. To give more of this free beat kind of thing, so it doesn't start on beat 1. So it goes back and forth, back and forth. Then the piano comes in and plays the same thing as the bass. We sometimes have these flying around. I think it's every 2 bars. Yes, it's every 2 bars. So every other bar, those things come and go. Sometimes we have it 2 times, sometimes we just have 1 time. We have mostly 2 times if we're switching between those 2 instruments. And then the guitar here, it's on the right ear, is coming in as well, and then we change the whole thing to a big chord to transition to this a little bit more weirdly transition to the original key back. And we are 2 beats faster than before. Usually we're in 104, now we're in 106. You don't really notice it too much, the tempo change, but it is there. Okay, let's listen to everything. Here's more like a battle because we're always switching from one line to another line. And yeah, the drums are playing a quite simple thing to just accomplish it. Doesn't need to be anything crazy, just light drums to give a little bit of a rhythm. We're playing there 2 times on the piano. Perfect. So I know if we're in a free beat, then drums doesn't make too much sense, and they give in the first beat, but that's just what I decided I wanted to do. So then we have the transition with a quick pause here, what is kinda nice actually. It sounds really unique. Because you're not expecting it. You're expecting something to be there, but then you just hear the thing from the drums. So very, very unique. Really like it. And then we're back in the original key. The drums just giving the kick to it. Kind of fits it fits good into this drum section. Like the transition is not too harsh, it's not too forced. So it's kind of good. And then this was the original melody, the original accomplishment, the high notes. Now we just putting it 1 octave down, because I kind of was like, now this higher one is just piercing my ears a little bit too much. So I put it down, and we have a new bass line slide, so you should slide the whole thing. I kinda didn't know how really actually to execute it of writing it. Now I know how I would write it, but that was the best solution. The best solution that I came up with. It's not the best, but at the time it was the best I could do. Then we have this thing that we had at the beginning, and then we augmented to 2 bars again. Anything else to note? Right, now this is happening. It's not really arpeggio, it's just simulating the down, if you would play a chord on the guitar, just downwards, it's just simulating this. I think it's really nice how it does that, and it's just doing those chords. We also have a little bit of a change in chords, in the rhythm of chords right here. But I think the chords are the same as earlier at section A, and this is technically section B. Now we're in section A2, I would guess, because it's a little bit modified. And yeah, there's nothing here to talk about really. Let's see, right. So let's listen to until bar 66 from this bar right here. The guitar really sounds nice. Should probably do that with the piano more often too. Right, so the guitar is building up from 1 chord to 2, and then to 3, and then to 4 chords, what is playing afterwards, and then we bring in the conversation melody in the piano. So we're doing, what is the terminology? I forgot. Well, and there's a name for this, but I just imitation. This is imitation. We're doing an imitation in the piano. What an imitation is, we're taking something from so if you have a melody in the guitar and we imitate it in the piano, that's an imitation. If we're playing the same thing just in a different instrument, that's what we're doing here. We had it in the guitar in section A. And yeah, that's that with everything. Don't really know too much. I sometimes listen to this and I just forget about it. I don't hear it because it's blending in with everything else kind of too well. It's kind of interesting. Right, so here we have something interesting to note. So, for that we have to listen to this again. So I don't know why this note isn't playing. It should be playing, but well, it doesn't. But because it's a 2-bar ostinato, it plays. This one should be the same as this, but with this note, let's see. Yeah, it's a C, and this is an F. So this is because we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bar bass solo, and this is the note to transition into this one. Because if we would put an F here, I was just not wanting to do that. And I thought this is the better note to transition from. And then we have this accomplishment that we heard at the beginning, just a little bit, like literally just a little bit. The downwards going up. I don't know. Look, I don't know how I would explain this. Just going down, but it's going up at the same time in pitch. But it's going down with the notes, and then at the halfway point for the second one, it's going down. Just straight up down. To then give... It sounds very different, so the viewer is expecting something, and then we have to crash again to give the push. Something will happen now. Any kind of solo. So let's listen to the solo real quick. Perfect, and then we have a different bass line afterwards. So let's see, let's get the keyboard out. Keyboard. Yes, I think we have a really quick chromatic thing here. And here as well, the same thing as here. Otherwise, nothing else we talk about in the melody. It's just improvised. Something that you probably know is I'm not using dotted rhythm too much in this piece. That was because I started using that a little bit afterwards. That I discovered that and just pimped it like that. I have it here sometimes, as you can see here. But otherwise not really too much of it. And then we have a different bass line. Let's listen to the bass line really quick. That change. I kinda like that. It's more chill than the other one, not as busy. And yeah. Let's listen to the whole thing. If I would find the beginning here with... Let's start from here. Also, we don't have any accomplishments in the piano here. To just give the bass a bit more attention. Then we start coming to the last solo of the whole piece. We have the crash as always, and then we have the last solo in the last instrument that I didn't use, and that would be the second saxophone. So there are those red notes. That just means that an actual saxophone can't play those notes. It could have, but I transposed the whole key already, so that kinda didn't work as well. And I actually remember right now, this solo is, at least for the beginning, from a different solo that I wrote a long time ago. But I couldn't use it in any of the pieces that I did, and wanted to use it, and I was writing it for someone else, but still wanted to use it because I really liked it. instead of the last part, so this bar right here I added in, but I wrote this solo before. I just want to reuse it again in this one because I really liked it. So yeah, that's the last solo in the whole piece. And then we have the last section. One thing also to note is they had a time limit for this piece, so it couldn't be longer than 4 minutes, I think. And that's because I made this for my school, so it was my A-level composition, and well, that's the reason why it's not as long. So let's listen to the whole solo with everything. Actually, I think those notes right here are building tension, so I had to release the tension with this note right here. So now we're coming to the last part of the piece. We're starting with the bass line. It's the same one as before, but I think it's an octave higher. Yeah, it's an octave higher from the last time, from section A. Then we actually have something weird going on here. Here's the full thing. That was that's something that I didn't use, but I was actually planning to using these chords with that accomplishment for section B. That's now the 3-beat part, but I still want to use it. But nobody would know that actually like wasn't there while I was making that. Nobody would know this as a reference to it, but it is a reference to it. So I don't think that the chords changes here, besides obviously from the different chords of the other melody, or from this part and the original one. Do I have somewhere the original complete? Yeah, here. So it doesn't change. Besides those chords, the chords probably stay the same. Hope you get what I mean. Then we have the higher bass. Like there's just an octave higher here. We have simple, really simple drums. They're used in the 3-beat section, more or less. This is even simpler. It's just the first thing from the 3-beat section. And then we have something interesting going on, and what I want to do. This is not an imitation, this is just a copy of the bass solo. But then we have the melody they point out in section A that we saw in the piano. Now we have an imitation in there in the saxophone, and then the guitar. This shit is not. No, it's not. So we have the first thing, the first section as an imitation of this conversation. Then let me think. I think this is from the first saxophone solo. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yes, it's from the first saxophone, so it's this part right here. here, imitation in the guitar, in the main melody guitar. And while all these solos playing, I put out the accomplishment in the piano, and then we have the last bit, and this should probably be actually also in this guitar, because the other one is a little bit too quiet, and this is straight from the ending section, the last bit, right this one here. So and because it's not one bar, we're actually using 2 bars. We have a little bit of a longer break here, also 2 bars instead of 1 bar. So you see 1 bar solo part, 1 bar chords with everything, then solo part, accomplishment isn't there anymore, then 1 bar with the accomplishment, and so on and so forth. And then we have a breakthrough here with 2 bars, and then also 2 bar solo part to wrap it up. And then we have the last bit, the whole beginning solo without any chords, just with the drums. This is straight up copied from the beginning, nothing has changed there, and the drums right here at the end, it's a little bit of a compressed version of this one. To fit it in 2 bars. And now listen to the whole thing right here. It's kind of nice how the bass is starting a little bit in the middle of it, and then everything goes in. I like it quite a lot. And yeah, because the chords are still happening and everything, you kind of hear the accomplishment a little bit. What I mean with you can hear the accomplishment, kind of, it's not like you can actually hear it, but because you hear that over the whole piece, you kind of got used to it. And you kind of get the feeling of the accomplishment a little bit. Because you got used to it over the whole thing, and that was the whole piece breakdown. A lot to talk about, and now we will listen to it one more time, and I will mute myself. That was, well, the music breakdown podcast kind of thing. I hope you liked it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Right, before I head out now, there's still something I wanted to show you, because there's a drum solo that didn't make into the final cut, and I wanted to show you how it sounds like, what drum solo would have sounded like if it made the final cut was the early version. So enjoy the last bit.